So when we're over here in our herb bed, this is the catnip. And if anybody has a kitty at home, we will harvest and dry this, and you can bring it home and see if it makes your cat kooky. And in the background here, this is a fennel, and it's a bronze-colored fennel. And again, that can be dried. When it's a little older, it'll flower, and then when it flowers, it seeds after that. And the seeds can be used, you add them to all kinds of cooking recipes. It has a very interesting flavor. The leaf tastes a bit like licorice, and so that's something that we can taste when you all come back. And the sage is doing very well. I was a little worried initially that it might not acclimate because we put it in a little bit later, but it's beautiful new growth, and we'll hope that this one is a perennial variety. It may or may not be, so I think this fall we'll end up taking a lot of the leaves on this and drying them as well. Maybe you all can give your teachers a nice little herb package for Christmas this year. We'll dry some up for them. So these are the little sunflowers, and it's the exact same variety as the ones over there that are much, much taller. But if you see it along the fence, this is all below the height of the fence. And when you look down there, they're all up above the height of the fence. And I think that has to do with it's just shadier here, and they still developed. And you can see that we're going to get flower there, and even this little one's going to put a flower out. But that's what we've got. And what a pretty thing to have in the garden and greet you when you come through the gate. So these are the beans that were the green bush beans, and I don't know, guys, maybe not next year. We'll see about that. And these purple, these yard-long purple beans have just gone ballistic, and they're still growing like crazy. Look at the size of that bean, and that's still a day away from being picked. So we have them coming along through here. Now we have started to see an insect called an aphid, and I'll take some pictures of them next time I'm out. I squished them all today already, but they tend to cluster around the new growth, and then they damage the young beans. And so you see some of these beans that have some kind of bumpy, instead of laying real long and straight, they're squiggly and bumpy. Those are the ones where the aphids came in, and what the aphids do is they suck the moisture out of them. So they damage their growth and their development by taking all of the moisture out of the fruit. So look at your basil. The basil's going like gangbusters. That's another one that we've been picking, and then we're drying, and so we'll have some of that we can share with everybody when you come back. And the oregano is just about finished flowering, but it's growing like crazy. There's lots and lots of new growth in the center of that plant, so we should be able to harvest some of that before the end of the year. More basil, and it's doing real well. And then we have, at varying intervals, this vine is a morning glory, and I have a larger one down at this end, and it's by itself so you can see it a little bit better. And this will have like round flowers that are blue and white, and so I'm hoping that before the summer's out we'll see some, and maybe they'll even still be here as everybody comes back when we get to the end of summer, early fall. The mint is a happy camper, and so are the chives. Everything's doing fine, and it looks like maybe the thyme is showing a little bit of rebounding. It was another one that we put in a little bit late, and it came in just as the heat of the summer kicked in. But let's look at this. We have eggplants. So let's start with the eggplants, and then we'll talk about the picked vegetables. This is a Rosa Bianca eggplant. It's different than the one we started with. The one on the far left towards the back is one of the originals. You see those bigger leaves, and it's got a completely different form. It's growing much more upright. Well, the ants managed to not destroy that one. That one came back from the base of its stem. And then in the meantime, I put these 4 other ones in. So I know I promised you guys that the eggplants were the things that were going to do the best, and I should never have said it. You say something and then the opposite happens. So we're hoping we can get some fruit off of these before the end of the season, and it's early still, so we might be able to. But here's something fun to look at. These beans. These are the beans as I'm harvesting them. Now, I have weighed them, and we're going to be freezing them tonight, and we have 3.5 pounds of beans before I add these to it, so it's going to be closer to 3 3/4 pounds. And then here are the melons, and these are the melons that we pulled off of the vine there, and I've never seen anything like this. So we're going to cut some open, and I'll read about seeing if there's any way I can save or preserve these in any way so that everybody can taste them when they come back. But if not, I'll be sure to tell you exactly what they were like, and we've got pictures of them. So these are a couple of the tomatoes, and we'll go ahead and dry those. And your first pepper, look at that. That's your first Cubanella pepper, and we're going to freeze those so that everybody can taste those as they come back to school, and we hopefully have enough of them. And I say everybody, we may end up just letting the class that planted their thing taste their thing, because we'll see how much bounty we get this year. But anything that has abundance we'll share with everybody. So let's go back and look at these peppers, because these are the sweet peppers, and we can see that these will be red peppers. You can see a little green pepper is on here right now. There it is. And as strange as it is, it looks like it's growing upside down. It must have gotten wedged up instead of down. But there's a green pepper, and it will become red. And we've got over here a lot of flower development. And with the flowers, that means that we'll have fruit coming right behind that. So where we've got a little flower here, that's going to become, or what was a flower, that's going to become a pepper. And you can see clusters up in here where there's more flowering fruit coming. So I feel really good about the fact that as we go through fall, we're going to have some nice peppers there. And then this is a pepper that is a pepperoncini or pepperoncini, and it's a little pickling pepper. So I'll go ahead and read up about that. We can preserve them instead of by freezing them. We'll pickle them. And there's this one and that one that's that variety. And then the big pepper that you all saw over there came off of these pepper plants. And this is the one that I picked it from. And you can see more flowers are coming, which means more peppers are coming. And then this one also has little peppers coming and medium-sized peppers coming. And I think we're going to have a very good end of the season with peppers. Many times, many peppers really only become productive in the later season. So you'll see the plant growing and you say, is it ever going to flower? Is it ever going to put out fruit? And then all of a sudden in August and September, it turns a corner and you have an abundance of peppers. And I'm really pleased to see that these pepperoncini peppers over here seem to be flowering and producing early. And usually I'd expect the Cubanella to be a little further on its way, but you know, we're in a first-year garden and we don't have that many amendments in the soil yet, so every year this should get better. I think that takes us around the garden, and again I'm eyeballing those downspouts and thinking about all the ways we can harvest this rainwater. I've been tracking how many gallons we put on the garden, and we have had a mystery waterer who occasionally comes out here and waters for us. So we're going to write a note to our mystery gardener and see if we can find out who's coming into the garden and supplementing the water. And maybe we can collaborate with that person to share the task, as well as see about how we might install some rain barrels and cisterns to collect that water by this time next year. And we would not have to use anything coming from the spigots, which have been a challenge. The spigots are not all working, and carrying buckets of water has been what our particular style has had to be this year. So that's it for now, and we'll stay in touch. And you can see that pile there of discarded leaves. That's something we should talk about for a minute. When we're pulling off leaves that are diseased, and they came off the base of the sunflowers where they had a lot of spot on them, I will make a pile, and then we need to take them out of the garden. They don't belong in the compost, because anything that has diseased leaves could spread disease or could continue to create disease if we use that compost in our beds next year. So there are certain things that are truly waste and that we want to take out of the garden, and that little pile there is one of those things. So let's keep on trucking here, and in another couple weeks I'll take some more pictures and we'll see how everything's doing. We're going to get into the toughest time of year now. We're on the 29th of July, and August is a rough month, and we'll see, can we get past the mildews on our cucurbits, and can we get past the creatures on our tomatoes, and can we get past the insects on our beans, and will we get fruit on our eggplant? And I think our pepper are just going to love the next month. That's something I feel really good about, as well as our sweet potatoes. They like the warm weather, and they're okay with some dryness. So fingers crossed, we'll hope we've got a very good August ahead, and I'll start taking some pictures again in a couple weeks.